In the year 2000, 4Kids TV censored a scene of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime where two men point guns at another character. The solution was to replace the weapons with aggressive finger pointing. 20 years later, Riot Games used this same solution in their card game. Whether it's reducing the size of female characters' assets or having to follow specific rules to comply with international regulations, League of Legends is no stranger to censorship. At times, even the game's entire existence gets censored in entire countries due to international political issues.
Kill your friends, guilt-free.
But before we get into how League continues to be censored, today's video is sponsored by War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and is available now for free on both PC and consoles. In War Thunder, you can take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of 10 major nations. These ranging from biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to the fighter jets and main modern battle tanks of today. The gameplay, realistic graphics, and authentic sound effects allow you to really immerse yourself in its combat. And War Thunder is heavily optimized to deliver a lag-free experience with immersive visuals and high frame rates, even on lower-end machines. So if you're ready to play War Thunder and join over 70 million players in epic PvP battles, use my link in the description to get started with a massive bonus pack. This is available to new players or returning players that haven't played for at least 6 months across all platforms. And this is only available for a limited time. Thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. By now you probably heard everyone and their mom talk about the small peepee Akali emote and the bait ping penguin emote both being retracted and brought back in a censored manner with slight changes. Of course, although these changes are small, they entirely change the point of the emote, taking them from a very hyped release to emotes that realistically players no longer care for. And real quick, in case you're out of the loop, Akali's emote was adjusted due to appearing to mock the size of men's you-know-what, which is a controversial topic in certain countries. And then the penguin emote almost got away with it, but it references a ping that was previously removed because players were using it for not its intended purpose.
They're giving me the rope emoji. They're all telling me to kill myself!
However, it would seem that this batch of emotes are cursed to continue being controversial, as the emotes officially released in the store on August 29th, but now some players are directing their attention to a new potentially problematic emote. A few people online believe that the emote titled "Let Me Breathe," featuring Sante wearing an oxygen mask, is a little insensitive. This being because some players see this as referencing the George Floyd situation that happened in 2020. An emote featuring one of the few black characters in the game wearing an oxygen mask titled "Let Me Breathe" might seem a little bit too on the nose for some players. But for the context, this is definitely referencing the huffing on copium meme when all one can do is cope. This emote was created by one of the Vietnamese teams, and a Vietnamese player in the replies stated that this is a popular meme in their region. Ironically enough, both the Akali and penguin emotes were not initially negatively received, but this one, which is causing negative discourse, albeit by a small section of the community, will likely not be censored, as it's already gone through. But who knows? At the end of the day, I doubt this was made with bad intentions. If I could make a prediction though, I think they might just change the name. Update: as I was finishing this video, on September 2nd, 5 days since releasing the emote, Riot has officially changed the name. From being "Let Me Breathe," the emote is now called Cope Sante. In the past, we've talked about censorship in Wild Rift, the mobile version of League, and Legends of Runeterra, the card game, though that was a couple years ago. In Wild Rift's case, since then, they've brought more champions and skins from the base game into the mobile version, each time creating brand new models and splash arts. Truthfully, these are often better than the ones in the PC version. But just to make sure, everything is quote-unquote censored just to appease every region's regulations, just in case. The most common form of censorship in comparison with the PC version is the clothing on female characters. In general, if a character or skin has some sort of cleavage or lack of fabric in certain areas, Wild Rift versions go in and make things a bit more tame. Janna in the main game is generally almost naked, and in Wild Rift she was heavily adjusted, and they maintained this with every skin that comes to Wild Rift since her release. This goes the same way with champions like Sona, Vayne, Lux, and almost everyone. But it's fair to say they did a good job, as there's still good depictions of each character, and in some cases makes more sense. Like, to be fair, Orianna as a robot cyborg probably doesn't need to be depicted with cleavage in a corset. So in Wild Rift, her gothic skin was heavily adjusted, and it looks significantly better. Though I should mention, the original splash art is from 2011, so it probably needed to be revamped anyway. In the same vein, League of Legends actually just opened a new server in a new region, this being the Middle East, a region where generally not everything that flies in the West will be well received. So a few adjustments were made there as well. For the most part, they're using versions of champions used in the Chinese version of the game, which are already the most censored. And from this Reddit comment, they apparently also removed any voice lines mentioning deities or gods. Something like God King Darius and God King Garen are instead named Leader King. The comment also mentioned that Pantheon's voice line talking about cruelty of the gods was changed to say cruelty of the tyrants, for example. But on the topic of voice lines, there are voice lines in the game, whether it be in English or not, that haven't only been changed, but after some time, completely removed. For example, the champion Aatrox had voice lines mocking the enemy player if said player flashed their mastery.
Mastery. I must congratulate you. Obviously, your parents never had reason to. Yes, your mastery is the master of masters. I am fighting an imbecile. Somehow, I doubt you've mastered self-esteem.
Although there's no specified reason for why these voice lines are no longer in the game, a Riot employee on Twitter did respond to someone bringing this up, and from what they said, Aatrox was apparently the only champion that had voice lines reacting to someone flashing their mastery. Regardless, they said they should work, and they'll get to work on restoring them. That was from 2 years ago.
I guess people sort of forgot about us.
On the other hand, champions like Evelynn and Kayn both have voice lines that are no longer in the game, most likely due to them feeling a bit too inappropriate.
Ooh, so many joyful people to hurt. Show me the man who has everything, and I'll show you my next victim. The moment they think they have me. Yeah, that's what I live for.
How sad. You would have made an excellent concubine.
Also, every time I make a video like this, I in passing mention that many games censor blood because of its restrictions in China. So, to avoid any issues, most time blood is either entirely removed or recolored to a different color in order to pretend that characters aren't actually bleeding. For example, some anime in China censor blood with the color white, which ends up making some questionably awkward scenes. Now, a question that always comes up is, what does Riot do with Vladimir, since his whole character consists of using blood for all his abilities? Well, in the servers where Riot would face an issue for having blood in the game, all of his ability particles are now just colored black instead of red, sometimes also purple. This is also visible in LPL matches, which makes sense because they're hosted in China. However, these regulations are pretty inconsistent, as for the most part, they still use his splash art where he's waterbending with a red liquid. In general, this rule is for age restrictions, and sometimes it's not enforced for one reason or another. For example, that white blood censorship in China that makes everything look sus, that's not real. It goes viral on Twitter and Reddit every once in a while, but it's simply not true. They do sometimes censor anime episodes for other reasons, but the white blood thing is fake. In conclusion, don't trust the internet.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Thank you for watching. Remember to check out War Thunder in the first link in the description, as the bonus bundle will only be available for a limited time only. The game is available on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox. And with that, I'll see you again in the next video.